Okay, this video is going to continue practicing the adding and subtracting. So this is just more examples. So we're going to finish out example 2, 3, 4, and 5. So watch the video, but try them first as we kind of go along. Pause it along the way to see if you can get part of it. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is find your LCD. Okay, so we need to look at our denominators and see what our least common denominator is. Okay, so we have a 6 and a 9. So the least common multiple, we need to find the least common multiple of 6 and 9. So 6, 12, 18, those are the multiples of 6. Multiples of 9, 9, 18. Okay, so our least common multiple is going to be 18 for the numbers. Then we have an a to the third, and we have an a. The higher exponent is the one that we are going to need. We need to have at least 3 a's, okay? And that a is taken care of with those 3. And then our higher exponent of our b's is b to the third. So that b is taken care of with those 3 included in your LCD. Okay, so now we want to find what's, we want to multiply by what's missing. Okay, so in this denominator, to make it look like this, okay, we need to multiply 6 by something to get 18. So that's going to be by a 3. A to the third is good. And b, we have 1b, but we need 2 more. So we're going to multiply by b squared so that it will become a b to the third. And we multiply the top and the bottom by that. Then on example 2, we need, or sorry, not example 2. We're still on example 2. The second fraction, in order to get it to be 18, 9 is going to have to be multiplied by a 2. And then the a, we need 2 more a's. And b is good. So we're multiplying by 2a squared. So now we multiply top and bottom by both of those. So we get a 9b squared over 18a to the third, b to the third, plus 10a squared over 18a to the third, b to the third. Our denominators are the same now. So I can write the fraction with those that's my denominator. And then we're going to add the numerators. There are no like terms to add, so that's our final answer. But then we need to write our disclaimers. Notice there are 2 variables, so a cannot equal 0 and b cannot equal 0. And that is the simplified answer. Okay, I'm going to try this one. So 2 over 4 minus p squared. 4 minus p squared is not in the proper order. Like normally when we want to factor, because remember our first step is factoring, normally it would look like this. Okay, your p squared would come first. That's just going to make it easier to factor, really. So you can change that first by either multiplying by a factor of -1, or you can think of it as factoring out a -1. So I'm going to multiply by -1 on the top and bottom. Okay, so you're going to get -2 over, this becomes a -4 plus p squared. So p squared minus 4. And then we have minus p over p minus 2. Okay, so now we need to find our LCD. So for our denominator, we need to make sure it's factored. So this first one can be factored. So -2 over, that's a difference of squares, so p plus 2, p minus 2. Minus p over p minus 2. So for my LCD, if I look at the first fraction, I'm going to have a p plus 2 and a p minus 2. The second fraction has a p minus 2. That's already represented, so I don't need another one. Okay, it's already in the least common denominator. Now we want to multiply by what's missing. Well, in my first fraction, that is my denominator. Nothing's missing, so nothing needs to be multiplied. In the second fraction, it's missing the p plus 2. So I need to multiply by p plus 2 on the top and the bottom. Okay. Now the next step, in the previous ones, we haven't had to do anything in the numerator. We've just added them. But here we have multiplication. We need to go ahead and distribute that. So we have a negative 2 on this one. P plus 2, p minus 2. And then we have a minus, we have p times p is p squared, and p times 2 is 2p. Okay. Now, something to keep track of here, since this is a minus sign, we want to make sure we don't forget about that when we have this 2p over here. So I'm going to distribute that negative. So now we're going to add the numerators, and our denominator is that LCD. And I have a negative p squared minus 2p minus 2. Now, that is how you can write your answer. You could factor out a negative if you wanted to, and then factor the polynomial. Because it does factor, you want to make sure that nothing is going to cancel. So this factors to be p plus 1 when you take out the negative, but nothing's going to cancel. So you don't really need that. This is fine, this answer. And then we want to make sure our denominator, we have p is not equal to 2 or negative 2. So we always have to look at that least common denominator either up there, or we can look at our final answer too. Anything that's been part of the denominator is part of your disclaimers. Okay, let's try example 4. Okay, so again, we want to factor those denominators. I'm going to go ahead and just factor it right here. So I'm going to take out the 3, and I got a plus 4. And then I'm going to factor out an a, and I have a plus 4. Okay, so that's the denominators. The LCD looks like I need a 3 and an a plus 4 and an a. So here's my 3. The a plus 4 is in both of them. It needs to be in the LCD and the a. And if you want to write your disclaimers here, you could. Like, this is going to be our least common denominator, so those are the values it cannot equal. So 0 and negative 4. If you want to write it there, that's fine too. Okay, so now we are going to multiply by the factors that are missing. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this now. 3a plus 4, just so I have a little more space. Okay, so what's missing? On the first one, what is missing is the a. So I'm going to multiply by a on top and bottom. On the second one, what's missing is the 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 on top and bottom. So I have negative 2a over 3a, a plus 4. So that's my LCD. And then I have minus 21 over 3a, a plus 4. My LCD is on both of those. And so I'm going to add the numerators. So I have subtract, I guess, negative 2a minus 21. There's nothing to really factor out, so that is my final answer with that disclaimer up there. 0, and negative 4 cannot equal A. In our last example, again, try this one on your own first. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. So we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and factor this one. I'm going to change the color. So on the top one, or the first one, this is going to factor to m plus 5, m minus 5, minus, and then I have m plus 6 over, I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses so I don't forget about it. This is m minus 5, m minus 5. Those are both special product patterns. Okay, so now my LCD. I need an m plus 5. I need an m minus 5. And I actually need 2 of those because over here I have 2. So I need 2 in my LCD. And I kind of ran out of room there, so I just write a squared. So m cannot equal 5 or negative 5. That's my disclaimer. Now I need to multiply my fractions by what's missing. So in this denominator, I'm missing an m minus 5. So I need another m minus 5. And that's why I put parentheses around the numerator, is because you need to know that that whole thing is going to be multiplied by m minus 5. And then over here, I'm missing an m plus 5. Try to squeeze that in there. Okay, so now since this denominator, it kind of is a lot to keep writing, I'm okay with you just writing LCD here, but in your final answer, you need to make sure you actually write the LCD. So the LCD is on the bottom, and I need to multiply out the top. In order to combine the numerators, they have to be multiplied out first. So I'm going to multiply m by foiling here. So m squared. We have a negative 5m plus 2m, so that's a negative 3m minus 10. And then minus, and then m squared. We have a plus 6m and a plus 5m, so plus 11m plus 6 times 5 is 30 over my LCD. And then you want to make sure you go through and distribute that negative. Make sure that gets to all of those pieces. So simplifying here, my LCD is on the bottom, and m squared plus a negative m squared, that's going to cancel. Negative 3m plus a negative 11m is negative 14m. Negative 10 plus negative 30 is negative 40. So you want to write the actual LCD now. So m plus 5, m minus 5 squared. And then you can factor that out to make sure nothing cancels, nothing will. So you can write your answer factored or as just negative 14m minus 40. And then that's my disclaimer up there. Okay, so give this some practice time. Make sure you ask questions if you are struggling.